about 140 words per minute. If you just read your book, your text aloud, especially if you want to narrate it yourself, just read it aloud for 10 minutes and then stop, even if it's mid-sentence, and then you do the math and figure out what your reading rate is, then you'll know what you're
Well, we can talk more about that later this afternoon. So what the pro here, it's ACX is one way to get your audiobooks into Audible and iTunes. Now it says Amazon because it will show up on Amazon as your book is in this another format, the Audible format, audio format. But and you know, they're dominating the market as they are in everything else, right? But they're not the only path, and they don't have all the retail channels. So if you go through ACX, you will not be in Barnes and Noble. You will not be in the libraries like Overdrive and Hoopla. You will not be in Rideau in India or Storytel in Scandinavia. There are a lot of places you will not show up if you go exclusive with ACX. There's another way, but we're not going to talk about that now because we're just talking about Amazon. Okay, so as I say, the con is they are a monopoly. They control the royalty rates, but I mean all of them do. You know, that's not something we really have an option on. They also, however, control the retail pricing on your audiobook. You don't have an option. They don't even ask you what you want. They just decide based on your length. You also have no option. You may not use your own ISBN if you're only with ACX. But you can in other options. Okay, so again, the exclusive rate is 40%, and if you're doing a royalty share, that is split evenly. ACX does the split, so you don't have any of the hassle of record keeping in that regard, so just an automatic thing. Reporting is good, so you can find out where those, not where the sales are, but how many there are each month, and they pay monthly. And then the non-exclusive, which I always recommend, is 25% of retail sales. So they are the lowest paying retailer. So even if you go through the other option, Authors Republic, then their rates are generally more like 35% overall instead of the 25%. And that is the overview of ACX. Back to David.
Yeah. Now we're videotaping it twice. Here, let me have the clicker.
Oh,
Well, this is a continual experiment. So,
2 cameras.
you've got CreateSpace, you've got KDP, you've got ACX, you've got all these ways of getting your book out there. What if you actually did it the old-fashioned way and got your book printed as opposed to going print on demand? And you've got that famous garage full of books. What are you going to do? Well, there are basically 2 ways that Amazon gives you to sell through them. And the first one we're going to be talking about is called Amazon Advantage, and that literally is selling through Amazon. Amazon basically sells the books, and you provide Amazon with your stock. So let's talk about it. Basically, it's a way for you to sell goods on Amazon, or you can sell books, you can sell yo-yos, you can sell whatever you want. And as long as there is an existing, what's called an ASIN, Amazon Serial Identification Number, ASIN, that's the 10-digit ISBN if it's a printed book, or for anything else, it's one of those weird little 10-digit numbers that starts B00 and then a bunch of letters and numbers. As long as there is an ASIN, you can sell it on Amazon. Okay? Amazon, if you offer to sell your printed book through Amazon, they will take the standard 55% discount, okay? Same as any distributor. Even though they're distributing to themselves. So their big distribution service is to sit it in the warehouse and tell people about it and then send it off from the warehouse.
Well, that costs money.
Of course it costs money. I don't begrudge them too much. Jeff Bezos doesn't make, well, never mind. The advantages to using Amazon Advantage, and this is something that I've done a couple of times, is that you can create a pre-sale, okay? We talked about the advantages, Judy talked about the advantages of pre-selling your book. Being able to have it up before it actually officially hits the market does a bunch of things. First of all, people can order it. Second of all, people can review it. Third of all, people can actually see it. It'll start showing up as people order it. It will start showing up on people who bought this also bought, even though the book isn't even out yet. Okay? So you can't pre-sell a book on CreateSpace. You can now pre-sale a book up to 3 months in advance on KDP. You can create a pre-sale at least, I have done over a year in advance on Amazon Advantage. A great thing is with Amazon Advantage is basically you get an email from Amazon saying, hi, we'd like you to supply 15 copies of your book to our Kenosha, Wisconsin warehouse by next Thursday. You don't have to do the, sending the product out directly to the purchaser. So basically, somebody goes on Amazon, they order the book. Amazon says, well, we don't have any copies and it's not available print on demand. Okay, send us some books. Okay? This is, in fact, the year ahead. My book, Risiko, which has now got a very different cover, this was my initial cover for it. And this was the pre-sale a full year plus out, which allowed me then to send people onto Amazon and say, okay, this is the book that I'm going to be selling. I'd love for you to get a review of it. Would you like an ebook copy? I can send you an advanced review copy, printed advanced review copy. It gave me a huge amount of flexibility in terms of being able to actually get the book out there. Okay, the main disadvantage to Amazon Advantage is that unless your book is unbelievably popular, they will only keep a minimal inventory on hand. So what ends up happening is you're sending 2 copies to Kenosha and 1 copy to Tucson as people order the book. And it ends up not necessarily making you a lot of money. You have to pay $99 a year if you sell over a certain amount. So at that point, that can wipe out any possible advantage, unless you're selling in bulk. Okay? However, you can set up the pre-order, and in fact, at this point, CreateSpace recommends this for pre-orders.
Right.
Set up the day before the book goes live, or immediately after the book goes live, turn it off. And you've never actually had to pay anything, and you've never shipped any books, and now they would rather ship CreateSpace books, and to be honest, you'll make a lot more money, okay? Because it'll cost you nothing, and they pay a very high, they pay a 40%, no, 60% royalty. They pay quite well, instead of 45. Okay, so that's Amazon Advantage. Amazon is selling, okay? The buyer has no idea who you are, they don't care. All they know is they ordered it from Amazon, you ship it to Amazon, Amazon ships it to them. Another option is Seller Central, and this gives you the option of creating ASINs. So it is a similar kind of setup. We have, for those of you who know, Stephen Kessler has used this to great effect, where he had 3,000 copies of his book that he worked very hard to pre-sell. He shipped a flat of them, a couple of flats, off to Amazon warehouses, and they sold them. And he gets paid very nicely for that. You can also create ASINs so that there are specialty things like, Lee Foster has talked about selling autographed copies of his book. Okay? So when you go on Amazon, and they're changing how this looks right now, but there is an option that says more buying options. Or if you look on sometimes it'll say, 15 copies new from such and such a price. If somebody clicks on that, what they see is all of these other these stores that are using Amazon as their front end. Do you understand what I mean by front end? So, David Kudler's bookstore.com. I can sell books through my tiny little website. People will, every once in a while will come. Where they're going to go to buy a book is Amazon. That's where people buy books, and Amazon and Barnes & Noble right now. Well, I can have a storefront as part of Seller Central. And if somebody happens to look and see, well, Amazon's selling this for $14.95, but I can get it from another buyer at $9.95. Hey, look at that, I'm gonna buy it for $9.95. Well, if it's through Ingram Spark, you're still gonna get your regular 45%. Their discount does not take any money out of your pocket. You can discount it if you want to, and this is something Stephen has talked about, and you can basically create a discount that then pays you more money because people buy a larger volume. This is what I'm talking about. This is my children's picture book, The 7 Gods of Luck, and these are the book depository is a major bookseller internationally, and they sell on their own site, but they also sell through Amazon. Okay, their storefront on Amazon makes them money. Okay, this is what I was talking about. You can post a separate specialized edition. You can have a collector's edition. The customer buys through Amazon, and Amazon takes a cut, 99 cents plus a referral, plus depending on what they feel like and whether it's a sunny day, variable closing fees. You have to fulfill it, and unless you are selling a high enough volume that they say send some to our warehouse, in which case it's exactly like an Advantage where they say send 30 copies to Kenosha or whatever. Usually, have you ever ordered something from Amazon and it comes in a little bubble wrap thing and it says Amazon on the sticker, but it's like, who the heck put this in? This is this. You ordered it through Amazon Seller Central, also known as, never mind. You have to do this. So if you're going on vacation, don't forget to turn off your Seller Central account. The big difficulty is it's kind of hard to navigate. And I say this is somebody who does this stuff a lot. It may not be worth the time it takes to set up a product. Oh, I didn't put this on here, and this is silly of me. They charge $35 a month.
Right.
So you need to have a volume going through there. If you are a bookstore that sells a lot of books, they can be, or if you're Stephen Kessler who has thousands of copies, but if you're planning on selling 5 or 10 copies, maybe not such a great way to do it. Advantage might be a better thing for you.
Okay.
Both of these are wonderful.
Yeah.
How do you sell the books? How do you get people to buy your books? Whether it's an audiobook, an ebook, print-on-demand book through CreateSpace, an offset printed book that you're selling through Advantage or Seller Central. Amazon created, in the last couple of years, an advertising program called AMS, Amazon Marketing Services. And it really is ads on a store site. That's really what it is. And I'll show you what I mean. You can advertise your ebook or print book, and it will show up in searches, okay, depending on how you do it. If you ever do a search on Amazon, look on the page, and the top of the page will be the things that are most likely to fit your search. Down at the bottom of the page, there will be a couple of little, anywhere from 2 to 4 titles, and they will show up on the first page, but they'll have this teeny, teeny little word there. Can anybody read that? What do you think that means? Paid ad. And that's through AMS. And that paid ad, we'll talk about how you buy it, but it can cost anywhere from, a penny a click to a quarter a click. And depending on what your sell-through rate is, you almost can't go broke doing this, okay? Because if you're paying out a quarter a click and you get one purchase for every 10 clicks, but you make $5 on it, you're spending $2.50 to make $5. You wouldn't have made otherwise. You're increasing your volume of sales, which increases your rank on the Amazon store, making your book more visible, making it show up in the people who bought this also bought. So it's a way of increasing your volume and your visibility at a relatively low cost, as long as you are careful about how you approach it. Another place that your ads can show up, this is on a detail page for one of the books that I publish. And right here is the Buy Now button. But what's right below the Buy Now button? Oh gosh, look at that. What is that? That's an ad for somebody else's book. Amazon knows what they're doing. They say, oh, somebody's going to go, they're going to think, yeah, no, I'm not ready to buy it. And where's the first place they're going to look? The next book, okay? And so this is a person who bid on either a title or a keyword or a genre that my book matched. And so Amazon says, oh, I bet you want this book. Actually, the person who published it and bought the ad said, if you like this book, I bet you're going to like my book, okay? Another place that the books show up is, remember, people who bought this also bought, that's the most valuable real estate on the internet. If you go on Amazon right now and look immediately below people who bought this also bought, you know what you're going to see? A line of books. And at the top, what are they called? Sponsored products. And again, where in people who bought this also bought, it's based on your rank and the relativity of the books if they're in the same genre. But this, date night on Union Station, I promise you, dollars to donuts, these are not top-selling books, okay? I bet they're selling better now than they were, but you can guarantee yourself to be seen in all of your competitors' book pages by bidding well and using their titles and their author name as your keyword. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. This is another place that it shows up. That's my book right there. How many of you have a Kindle? Hey, that's great. I asked that question a year ago and nobody raised their hand. That made me very sad. You guys are book authors and publishers. You should know how people read books. when a Kindle is in its resting state, just like a computer, it's got a screensaver, but since this is an Amazon-owned ecosystem, the screensaver isn't pretty pictures of fish or funny lights, it's things you can buy. And of course, they know, based on your purchases, what kind of books you're gonna like. And so in this case, here's my book.
David, we need to.
I know. I'm almost there. So, you can use, as ways to create these ads, you can use categories, you can use other titles, or the best way to do it is keywords. And you can use other titles as your keyword. And that's what I do. And I was talking to Mark Susnow today. I will often have anywhere from 300 to 1,000 keywords for one ad. Mark was saying, oh, I've got a lot, I've got 20 or 30. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, that's better than one or two. And all of the keywords that I come up with are, other books that are in the genre. This is a very generic one, fiction books, whatever. These are titles, but also author names, genres, okay? And here we go. This is our finale.
Great. So I wanted to let you know what's happening this afternoon. So we're having roundtables. And during the first one, 1 o'clock to 1:25, we're going to have Ruth on the how-to of CreateSpace. So these are the diving down deeper. There's only so much you can do in an hour and 15 minutes. So this is diving down deeper on these topics. Ruth on CreateSpace, David on KDP, Judy on Amazon reviews, and I'll talk about the audiobook process. And then at 1:30, we're going to shift. Ruth will be talking about CreateSpace versus Ingram Spark. David will focus on categories and keywords. Judy will focus on Goodreads. I'll focus on audiobook distribution. And then, the part you don't want to miss, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we have saved an hour for coming back together with Q&A with all 4 of us. All right, that is going to be the time when we're going to start off with these cards. So if you've thought of a question you want it answered, please bring it up and put it on the table as we wrap up here. Okay, I think that's...
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody who
Okay.
wants the slides and also wants our
Yeah, and
handouts.
if you want the slides and haven't put your card in the basket, please bring that up as well. So we're going to take a break until 1 o'clock, get some lunch, but then come back. If you haven't registered for this afternoon yet, go see John and Val over at the registration table. All right, let's thank our panel.
Don't forget, you can have